So, welcome to Beyond the Key podcast. I'm your host, Rick Brown, and today's guest is pretty extra special for me. It's one of my longtime Timber Creek Regiment friends, Mr. Brock Young. Brock and I go way back, don't we, Brock?
We do. We unloaded a truck every weekend
Right.
for 4
Absolutely.
years.
And I know Gene's listening, being the pit manager. But, you know, for the most part, it's funny. I was at the alumni 25 years. I mean, how crazy, right? Timber Creek High School's been open for 25 years. I know Rhett and Devin. Devin's been there 20, from what I understand. And but, yeah, we go way back to our days in Timber Creek and cheering on the regiment. You know, I mean, I don't know about you, but I always love showing at some of those competitions and that Reggie showing up. People were like, oh, shit, Timber Creek's here, right?
Yeah. Some of my favorite was when we did those long journey trips like to Lucas Stadium. That was fabulous to be on that stadium with professional football
Oh,
teams.
you're talking about nationals?
That's awesome.
We were the only, I
the nationals,
want to say we were the
did that.
only regiment that went to nationals. I don't think they've gone since.
I think so. Not
Right.
in Florida anyways. Yeah. And we were the state champions, I think, for all 4 years that you and I unloaded that truck.
Well, you keep saying I didn't do it for 4 years. I did it, maybe I did it 4 years after I met Jeannie, but she was doing it when I was just doing fundraising. So I'm not going to say, but I think I did at least 4 years. So I think you're right. I drove the truck.
Yeah, she did 4 years. You drove the truck? Wow,
Yeah.
they wouldn't let me near it. I'm kidding.
So,
I never asked.
so
but-
Brock, you were born and raised in Payette, Idaho. You went to the College of Idaho, which is a private college. You married your wife, Masako, of 36 years. You're going to have to tell us how you did that. And then Sakura Outdoors was launched in 2011, and I think you said that was launched by your son.
Yeah, in middle school, he wanted to go on a mission trip, and I was doing these mission trips at the time and taking people with me, and he wanted to go, and I told him he had to pay for his own trip, and he asked, how can I make money? I said, we can go out and mow lawns, so we set him up with a few customers and friends, and he started mowing lawns in 2011, paid for his trip, and he liked it so much, he decided to make it into a bona fide business starting in 2016, which is kind of when I started helping him.
That is amazing. And so let's give a big shout out. This is Shane, your son. Yeah.
Yeah, that regiment.
He played the trumpet alongside, I think, my son, Austin. What year did Shane graduate? Okay, so no, he actually marched alongside my other son, Matthew. Because he graduated 2014. Okay. And then my daughters graduated 13, and then Austin graduated 2010. So Matt was a freshman? No, my daughters were a freshman. So Matt was an 8th grader when my son was a senior. So Austin graduated, and then Shane and Matt joined 2011. So that being said, I kind of lost my train of thought here. But I didn't know this. This is really cool stuff because I thought you started this company. So...
No, I was doing auditing before that. I was doing this forensic type auditing, finding where my clients overpaid vendors and getting the money back. So I was basically a glorified collection agent, but I was collecting from, Kraft, Procter & Gamble, things like that. And I had retired from that in 2012 and started doing those mission trips I was talking about and leadership for pastors throughout mainly Central America, but other places as well, Haiti, Japan, stuff like that. And so when he asked, I told him I didn't want to be too involved. I'd be glad to help him out. And but I'm kind of happy being retired. That was in 2016, and I haven't walked away since. So I enjoy it very much. So it works pretty good. It's like being back in Payette, Idaho.
There you go.
On the farm.
So Sakura Outdoors was birthed in 2011, and this is just an amazing company that helps families turn their yards into an extension of their home, filled with comfort, memories, and I'm just really excited, and you guys are going to love this story. So, hey, let's just dive right in, shall we? So, Brock, you've
Sure.
been part of Sakura Outdoors since 2016. What inspired to start this journey of creating beautiful outdoors? And I know you mentioned the whole he wanted to pay for a trip, but you guys are
That's how Shane. Yeah, that's how Shane got started. But where it went from there is he was just mowing lawns. He was in high school, at that time, so he did all through high school. He wanted. Probably coming from me, I haven't worked for a company since 1997, so I'd been an entrepreneur ever since, and I think that kind of rubbed off on Shane. He didn't want to get a regular job, and so that was the big appeal. I said, well, we got to have a plan. We got to have a reason for what we're doing, because you can't just do something because you don't want a job. And as we were growing in that, and we started getting more and more clients, we started realizing what we were giving was a peace of mind to our customers, and that's really what we were after. That became our focal point, is to take our clients and make them enjoy being in their backyard. So it started out with lawn maintenance. We received a letter once from one of our clients saying how her husband used to have to spend every Saturday in the yard mowing the yard. They had a big yard, and so he's out there for a couple of hours every Saturday mowing this yard. And ever since we took over, she's had peace of mind. They've been able to do family vacation stuff together and not have to worry about the yard being taken care of. And that was the epitome of what we were wanting to achieve. Now we don't do the lawn maintenance anymore. We do just landscaping, design, install. We do outdoor lighting. We do irrigation. Irrigation's kind of the thing nobody sees, but it's actually extremely important. And our goal is to create these little pockets of an oasis for them. Our company used to be called Oasis Lawn Landscape Pool. We changed that when we got out of the lawn maintenance part and went to Sakura. But we come in and we spend a lot of time with the clients, helping them design their yard, decide what they want to do, what brings them joy. And joy means so much for different people. So we may spend a lot of time with one client, and joy to them might just be, we want something we can control. Somebody else, I want to feel like I'm in a tropical paradise, or I'm in Hawaii at a resort, whatever the case may be. And then we spend a lot of time trying to reconstruct what will achieve that vision that they have for their own yard. Sometimes we get the I don't know what I want answer, and those are the most challenging because we have to get to know them, and so we go through a pretty extensive interview process doing so.
Okay.
And
so let's talk about the name. Sakura carries cultural and symbolic weight, especially tied to what you mentioned, beauty and renewal. So how does that name reflect your company's philosophy?
So when we wanted to switch names because the only thing we did, or the most thing we did, probably 80-90% of our business was lawn maintenance. We sold the lawn maintenance part to or gave them away to different people in our field that we respected, that we knew would do a good job. And at the same time, we wanted to make a full change. So in 2004, January 1st, we kicked off the new name Sakura. And the reason why is Sakura, if you don't know, is a Japanese cherry blossom. That's what a Sakura is. And so here's how that all came about. My wife, as you know, is Japanese, and we've been married for 36 years.
I did,
remember if you said that
and our
not,
listeners
but it's
didn't
been a
know
long
that your
time.
wife was Japanese until you just mentioned it. So
Yeah. So that's where that came in, and we wanted something that if you ever are in a Japanese garden or anything like that, they're very pristine, they're very nice, they have a certain feel to them. A Japanese gardener instills a sense of peace and respect, and it's very much part of their culture, and so we wanted a name that represented that. It's also give a kind of an ode or a shout out to my wife, who's had to put up with me for 36 years, so she well deserved something named that was Japanese. But that's how we came up with the name Sakura, and then of course outdoors, because we're doing outdoor stuff. And we wanted something unique. There's a million. I'd get people all the time saying, "Hey, I saw your trucks." I'm like, "What trucks?" "Well, I saw your Oasis truck when I was in Miami." I'm like, "That's not us." There's a million Oasis companies. There's nobody named Sakura that does what we do. So
that's
that was
awesome.
also part.
So you emphasize honest conversations, and we kind of spoke about this, and setting realistic expectations. Kind of why would you think that's important in your industry?
We do not believe in the philosophy of saying whatever the person wants to hear. We're not after closing a deal. I mean, that's the end result. But what we're really trying to do is educate our customers. The client part happens naturally because we take care of our customers, and that's what we're doing. We want to have an honest conversation, and if you're asking us to do something we know is not going to work, we're going to tell you, hey, that's really not going to work very well, and we're going to tell them the hard truth when necessary. And what you're going to always get is the right answer for what you are describing you need. So we'll tell people when they're on something good, or here's how we can achieve that. We have to take into all sorts of consideration: deer, irrigation issues, what type of soil they have, shade tolerance, things all like that. So we'll just be candid with them. And then we design a design for them. We send them the design, and we always tell them this is the first draft. All this is for is just to get an idea of what we think you're looking for. Now let's take it and tear it apart and recreate what you like or dislike, and we'll repiece it together till we get what you want. And so that just takes time and effort, and that we stand behind our product. So if anything goes wrong, we're right there. We guarantee our plans for a year. So if anything goes wrong,
right,
no questions asked. We have somebody just text me they had a deer eat some of their plants in the front, and no big deal. We'll just go and swap them out because it's only been a few months. So we'll just.
So I can tell that your team focuses on relationships, not just getting a job, right? And I think that kind of coincides with us at Brown Home Group, where we're building relationships, because realtors are known for, like, car salesmen, right? You sell them a car and then you're gone.
Yeah.
Where Brown Home Group, we like to differentiate ourselves from the competition in the sense that we want to build a realtor for life and not just for today. We always say that it's your next home. And I'm sensing that with Sakura, that you guys are also building relationships, not jobs. And can I ask, how do you build that kind of trust with your homeowners?
Wow, that is a really good question. I'm not sure if I have the right answer right now, but we'll wing it here and see what we can come up with. I think what makes us, we earn that trust because we're there when they need us back. That's sometimes you don't earn trust on the front end. You earn it later on when something happens, or sometimes you solve a problem for them. I'm not afraid to call a president of an HOA and ask them, hey, here's the situation. This house got a letter, and you know how those I'm on the board of my HOA, so I know how those HOA boards can be. And so we'll tell them, hey, I'll just call them and let them know, hey, we're working with you, and we'll take care of it, so that they'll know, and they'll usually give them an extension and things like that. So we'll just go above and beyond. We're not interested in just getting plants in the ground.
I like how you did that, above and beyond.
Above and beyond.
No, and I can definitely vouch for Sakura Outdoors and your professionalism, your commitment, your communication, and personally, you have beautified my home, and obviously you're our top landscaping company that our team works with, and I think just the personable aspect of it. And a yard isn't just grass and plants. It's where memories happen, right? It's where you have your cookouts, your fire pits, your family time. And you kind of embody that at Sakura, where I know you say that outside beautification is part of your business, and encouraging, let me ask, how do you design spaces that encourage those kind of experiences?
So this is kind of sort of be a repeat, because it's not magical. Anybody could do it, but most companies just don't. But we start out, when you and your wife had a certain plan that you wanted for that front area, as an example, and I went there and met with Jeannie and spoke with her and asked her what was it she wanted, and her original description did not sound like what we came up with. That was through asking a lot of questions. We practice a lot on interviewing. In fact, I teach my group every Monday morning. We have a leadership lesson, and right now we're actually talking about how to ask the right open-ended questions. Anybody can ask a question. Anybody can ask yes or no questions, but it's really when you start asking things. Well, what do you like? What makes you feel good when you're out of town somewhere? What memories are you looking for? And so we just, that's really all there is to it, is just spending a lot of time trying to get to know our client, find out what really inspires them. If the client's not inspired with what we do, it's probably not the right landscape design for them, and we want to find the one that inspires them. I have a gentleman down the street from my house that we're there all the time doing stuff because they always want stuff done. His inspiration comes from wanting it to look pristine. That's his big deal. Other people wanted to. We just did this. It was a pool redo, and we went in and landscaped around the pool. A very small yard, one of those downtown yards, and they wanted to feel like they were in a resort in Hawaii, specifically Maui. That was the look they were going for. So we had to figure out how to get these. And they wanted mature trees, so we had to get these mature trees into their backyard, which is very small, and make it look like a tropical paradise. We put in some trees just for them. They spent a lot of time, they went out to Lucas Nursery, which is a great nursery if you want ideas, and they came up with ideas. Then I could tell them, hey, this plant's not going to work. This plant will work great, or we could substitute this out and give them until we got the final design. But it took, we had out the entire time while they were redoing the pool, so we had a couple of months to do some planning with them, and it took every bit of those 2 months.
Well, and obviously with the weather that is among us right now, with hurricanes and rain, and what are some of the most common outdoor challenges that you see Central Florida homeowners facing right now? And obviously, how does Sakura solve them in a way that lasts?
You want to know what the most difficult thing that we deal with is? Overwatering. In the summer, you can't really help it because of all the rain, but that rain really affects the soil, and it's usually grass issues. I mean, it causes fungus. I know you had David with Colonial Pest Control on here a week or two ago or so, and one of the things that he has to do is the challenging of getting rid of all that. But the one thing that we do, and we actually have this thing, and we're actually really excited about it. We're the only ones that do it, as far as I know, from a landscaper point of view, is an irrigation subscription where we go to people's houses automatically once a quarter, tune up their system, everything else, because things change. You know how it is here. We have our rainy season, and we have the hot, dry in the spring, hot, dry in the summer, cold in the winter, and all of those require different watering and things like that. So we go in there and we do that automatically, because that's the number one key to making your yard look good, is the right amount of irrigation and right amount of feeding, which is what David does. I work a lot with David, by the way, so he's my number one guy that I send out, because I know he'll take care of the clients.
He does a great job.
For me to trust somebody, they have to have the same ideals as we have, which is the client needs to be taken care of. And David meets that. Not to plug David. He's giving me $20 later for that.
Sure, I get half of that.
He doesn't know it yet, but...
So
Good.
I want to just go back and talk about, like, obviously the challenges, because landscaping isn't cheap, and I guess it can be if you get somebody who sucks. But your quality of what you do, maybe you can share a favorite project that you really transformed how a family used their outdoor space, that our listeners and our viewers might be able to obviously hear this and go, wow, I want that. And then, but before we finish, I'll make sure that your information gets plugged of how they can get a hold of you.
I appreciate that. There's so many of them that some of them are very simple, and they're fun. People just want us to come in and redo the front flower bed by their door. Those, it takes a few hours. But we had this one project, and this couple was in a house that was a family house that was passed down from one generation to the next. So it was a older home, had really, really cool styled home, and they just put in a pool. They just done all this stuff. they wanted a look to their backyard that reminded them of being in Disney.
Okay.
Partly. Yeah. Partly, that was the challenge. They didn't want a big, giant Disney backyard. They wanted this section to be manicured with hedges and things like that, and then they wanted this section over here to be an outdoor barbecue pit and everything else. And that one had a lot of challenges with it because the backyard sloped towards the pool, so we had to put in a drainage system to get the water away from the pool and around to the front yard where it could drain out to the natural slope of the ground. Then we also had to redesign where we used, I think, 3 different types of rock, 2 different types of mulch, a dozen or so different plants, and they wanted one part where they could grow vegetables and stuff and teach their children how to grow things and stuff like that. They wanted a fire pit area. They had a trampoline that they wanted to keep there, so we had to make space for that, a playground area, and then also a sitting area with stuff with hedges and stuff to remind them of Disney. So that one was challenging because there's just so many different parts in this one backyard. And so trying to make it to where you could feel like you're walking in from one type of place to another place, kind of like Disney does. When you walk into Disney, you turn left, all of a sudden you're in a different part of the world, it feels like. You turn right, and you're in Futureland. I don't go to Disney very often, but so that's what this one house
question,
wanted.
did you actually make the Mickey Mouse ears into the hedge? Oh, okay.
No. So here's the thing that we design it with what it's going to look like when the plants grow. The plants we put in are depending on the size they want to start with, could be a 3-gallon, which is roughly a foot or 2 tall, to a 7-gallon, which is 4 or 5 feet tall to on up. If budget is concerned, we start small, and we know that within 6 months to a year, it's going to be the same size if we spent more money, but put in a bigger plant. So we work really good with trying to find out what is the budget that we work with, so that we know, okay, for that budget, for what you want to do, we're going to have to go with this size of plant, which is great, and and we try to customize that for a.
So, you're the managing director, what lessons have you learned about leading a team in a service-focused, detail-driven business like landscaping?
I will have to say I've done a lot of different businesses in my life. I did auditing. I used to actually build and sell computers back in the day when desktops were first coming out. And I stopped doing that because I sold some to college students, and they'd call you at 2 a.m. saying, hey, my computer don't work and I have to get this handed in by morning type stuff. So we didn't like that. But I will have to say that what we do now is by far the most challenging business-oriented thing I've ever done. And what makes it so is you're working with so many different personalities, with so many customers, and then you have the physical challenge of the irrigation, the yard, all these things, and then you have, like in our neighborhood, we get deer like crazy. So we have to put in deer-resistant plants, and sometimes that doesn't work. Other places we can go all out and put in all sorts of different
sorry,
plants.
not to stop you, but what's a deer-resistant plant?
It's a plant that the deer don't like.
Okay, so there's such thing as plants that deers will stay away from. No. There's no such thing as plants that deer will stay away from. There's just plants that they prefer not to eat, but if they're hungry enough, they will eat those. We have where I live, we just redid the landscaping down our main boulevard, and we put in deer-resistant plants, and during February, the deer ate them anyways, or at least attempted to, because they were hungry in February. So deer-resistant is not the same as deer-proof. There's no such thing as deer-proof. So we live on the east side of town, you and I. You live in Stony Brook, and I live in Eastwood. Mm-hmm. And I see deer all the time in my backyard. And you obviously do as well. So if you are a listener out there or a viewer watching, and you are in those areas, I mean, obviously deer is everywhere. You definitely want to maybe have a conversation with Brock at Sakura, and maybe he can put some of those deer-resistant, what'd you call it? Deer plants.
Deer-resistant plants.
I'll be interested to know what those are, but needless to say, doesn't matter. They still will eat if they're hungry.
They will. I'll give you a list. Somewhere.
Yeah, well, maybe drop it. We'll drop it in our
put it online
in our comments. But so let me ask you, Brock, how do you balance creativity with practicality, making spaces beautiful while still easy to maintain? Because that one story you told me, I would think it would be very difficult to kind of maintain the beautification of it. But obviously, you have a creativity mind. Probably Shane does, and you guys sit down and you draw up all these big plans of somebody's vision, and then you put it into reality. How does that work?
Wow, so there's different things we do. Some things don't require any beautification. They're just practical, like a drainage system to get water out from the side of your house, that, where it gets all muddy there by the AC units. Anybody that lives in Florida know what it's like to go by their AC unit and sink 3 or 4 inches into mud. So those are different than beautification. So when we're talking about just the beautification part, we're talking about the landscape design and install. And for that is the first thing we do is we interview the client, find out what they want, what's their hot button, what do they not like. That's almost, if not more important than what they do like, because some people have just a big distance. We had this one person, they loved the society garlic, which is a cute little plant, and the deer don't eat it, and they have a big deer problem. And so they wanted society garlic. To them, that was great. For me, I probably would have been less society garlic, but that's okay. It's what they want for their yard. So we go there, we interview them, and then we create a rendering we take real pictures of their house, their areas, then we have some software that we do a rendering with their house in the picture, not a drawing, but an actual picture of their house, and then we put in the rendering with the new plants, things like that. And then after we have that, then we send that to them, talk about what do they like, what do they don't like, and then we change the plants that they don't like. I can actually do that live on my laptop with them. Once we get the initial rendering done, we'll open it up if we need to. We'll sit down at their dining room table and say, well, we don't like this plant. Okay, let's take that out. Let's put this in. And then once we get the final design, then we schedule in the time, and there's always demolition involved. That's the most critical part, is because we got to get things ready to put the new plants in. The new plants going pretty fast. It's the detail work of making it a livable environment that will make those plants thrive is more difficult by far than the planting the plants themselves. So that's
kind of leads into my next question, and I can tell that most of that stuff you're talking about is what we know is better, like AI and virtual, right? Staging, as we do in real estate. It's very similar to you doing with landscaping, so you can give that vision of what, in our case, what a room would look like with a, kitchen, or in your case, what a yard would look like with plants and trees and everything else. But looking ahead, how do you see the future of outdoor living evolving? Are there any trends or innovations you especially excited about?
So there's trends with the style. That's always going to be the case. Same with houses. Right now it seems like there's a trend with white and black paint schemes in houses, and probably more grays and things like that. It used to be all tans. We have the same thing. We have different types of plants, different type of looks. Right now, a lot of people are going after the minimalist plant look with rock, and that's a nice clean look, and that's what a lot of people have. Some people want a nice fuller look, more like a tropical type look, things like that. So we try to plant it with them. Some like desert look, some like a northern look. Northern look is hard to achieve in Florida because nothing grows here that grows in the north, so we have to find substitutes that kind of look like northern plants but will grow here. And then you're going to kill me because I actually forgot.
No, you're fine. Looking at the future, right? We always kind of want to pay attention to what's happening in the future. Are there any trends or innovations that you're especially excited about?
So AI has been huge for us, and we're in the baby stages of AI, and what AI does for us now is amazing. In fact, we've had clients, we've had this only a few times, probably 3 times, where the client gives us an AI generated idea of what they want. And that's always helpful because they've already played around with it. They've already decided what they like. And so we're not trying to come up with what they like. They've already came up with that themselves. But we use AI now to design our landscaping. And that's only new in the last month or two. Because we can do so much with that. We can do, one, it looks much better for presentation because now you have a computer-generated thing. So those renderings look much better than when we do it with software because the AI cleans up the original picture much better. And two, we can tell it, here's what we're after. We have learned that AI doesn't work very well yet to put in the plants because you never know whether an AI rendering is going to stick plants where. So you can say we want a row of hedges. It doesn't do very good with that, but it does a great job of taking the original photo and cleaning it up so we can then put in the plants. So that's a huge trend. I think AI is going to change
I think it is for
a lot,
both of us.
even further. Yeah, and for us, even AI, we use a lot of AI. Our CRM, our customer relationships management system, has a lot of AI built into it that it will look for trends with a certain client that says, hey, we notice you go to this house every 3 months, like with the irrigation subscription. Do you want me to just go ahead and schedule that? Why, yes. So it learns our patterns and then sets them up for us. And so we see that on that end as well. We see that on the design side. We see that on the logistics side. It's really changing a lot. It's only been a few months for us. So
if a homeowner is listening today or watching us and feels overwhelmed by their to-do list, honey list or whatever we call it, right? Outside, of course, what's the very first step you tell them to start reclaiming their yard?
Okay, so the first steps, I'm going to go through the technical and the emotional side because they're both involved. The first step is they get our name from somewhere. They either see it on Facebook or it's a referral or something like that. We don't spend a lot of time trying to promote ourselves. In fact, I very rarely do. So usually we're word of mouth. They'll call or text or the best way is to go to our website and submit a request because once that's in there, now we have your address, we have your description, what you need, we have your contact information, we can then get a hold of you. And I'm going to schedule a consultation, and it's free. We don't charge for those, so I go out and schedule a consultation. Depending on what we're doing, might last for 15 minutes, might last for a couple hours, and the more they describe what they're looking for, the better we can do this. So then we do the consultation. We then submit the original renderings of what it is we think they're after, and then we start editing from there until we get it done. Once it's done, then we schedule the work. Then we go from the emotional of, oh, that looks beautiful, that's what we want, to the logistical of, now we've got to figure out how to do this. What people don't realize is the logistics of getting supplies to a house is quite a bit, especially if you're adding rock, multiple types of rock, if you have sod. All these are different deliveries, all these take different equipment, and so we have to do all that and get them to the housing. If there's irrigation, that's different. We have an irrigation vehicle that's what it's for. Then we also have another 3/4 ton truck that pulls our 20,000 pound trailer where we haul in rock and things like that. And then we put it in there. And then once we're done, we bring before we put the plants in the ground, we bring the customer out so they can look at it. Because I always tell them, if they're above ground, they're my plants. The moment they're put in the ground, they're yours. So let's make sure we got it where we want them because we don't want to move them. You know, it's not like a couch. You know, it's more like carpet. Once you put the carpet down, it's down. So and then we already know that when you put in a large amount of plants, a certain percent are going to die. So we already cover the warranty. It doesn't matter. We don't ask questions why. We just say, yeah, we'll take care of it. And we go out and we change them out. So that might be a month or two down. We might get 2 or 3 that passed away, and we'll just change that to a new plant, put them in there. We've had a few where they want to change it. Hey, we decided we don't like this. Can we change them out? And typically we'll work with them depending on what it is we're doing, how complex we're changing out. But if it's a few plants, we just do it. And then we follow up with them, make sure everything's going well. And then we try to teach them how to take care of the plants, not just while they're new, but long term. because the number one thing people do is they overwater.
Right.
I mentioned that earlier. And people say, hey, my grass was turning yellow, so I turned on the water. Yellow is your grass is drowning. It's saying, I can't take it anymore. It says, please stop the water. When it's brown, and when you know this type of information, you can look at a yard and say, that's a chemical burn, that's drought, that's overwatering, and we can help them learn what they need to do to keep their plants looking good, both the grass and the
So I will tell you, for our listeners out there and our viewers, that if you were to list your home with Brown Home Group, or if you purchase a home through Brown Home Group, I have a great relationship here with Brock, and if you have a irrigation system, just note that your inspection company does not usually, I'm not saying all don't, but it's very difficult to see what you can't see. So inspection companies tend to not warranty an inspection with irrigation. But Brock will actually, at no charge, go out there and give us an evaluation on the irrigation, and then if he finds something of concern, then is when you would end up paying for his services. And then if you're a seller, I get Brock to come out and he does a free evaluation of your home, and we want to get you top dollar for your home. And it's all about curb appeal. Am I right, Brock? I mean, people see that yard and go, ugh.
If somebody doesn't like the
Exactly.
they're not going to stop.
So he'll come out, he'll give, I mean, I don't ever claim to know anything about yards. I mean, I don't have a green thumb, but I can have Brock, I take pictures of your yard, I send them to Brock, and he goes, yeah, I have some great ideas. Let's schedule a time. And sometimes you don't even have to be home. He'll just go there. You see a guy walking around your yard, you might be a little concerned, but needless to say, he'll come over and he'll give us some ideas. And again, he's helped so many of my clients, and it's just been little things, right? I mean, just putting some color in the front of the yard, things like that can really enhance the pictures of a listing. And obviously pulling out the dead stuff, remulching. I know you do sod. I know it's probably not one of your favorites, but it's part of your business with landscaping. And when a yard is past its life expectancy, you have no choice but to start over and resod, right? I mean, and so an irrigation is also important, because you put the sod in and then you can't water it. That sucks.
Yeah, so here's a helpful hint for anybody listening as well, is if you are going to resod, make sure that the company putting it, whether you use us or anybody else, one of the questions that get overlooked is, do you test the irrigation and fix the irrigation and make sure the grass is going to be watered properly? We have had many times where somebody will put in sod from somebody else, and they'll call us and say, hey, my grass is dying because after we put it in, we realized our irrigation is not working. So make sure those are done at the same time, because that's very critical. And sometimes, and we have a philosophy when it comes to selling a house, that when you're selling a house, you want to put the least amount of money in your property as possible and get the biggest sale price as possible. You want both those together.
You want to put the most amount of money in your
business
pocket.
Transaction. Yeah, exactly. And so what we do is we look so we've gone to houses where it's going to be put up for sale, and they'll be describing a certain look they're after, and we'll let them know, hey, that's not going to do what you need to do. That would be great if you're going to stay in the house, then we want to design it the way you want to design. But when it comes to being put on the market, our job is to help people stop, so they want to come and look at the inside. And so to do that, we don't need to spend all this money. We can just put down some new mulch, clean up some stuff. We try to do it as least expensive as possible. And that's our goal with house sales for the sellers, is to do what's going to make the house look the best to get people to stop.
Awesome.
Curb appeal.
Well, I know you mentioned you don't advertise, but you do advertise in this magazine, which is in the Waterford. I can't even get it to come. Can you see it? Yeah, we see it. Yeah. And then right on page 1, if we can get it to open up. Yeah, it's not showing up.
Yeah,
anyway, there it is.
I would.
But anyway, bottom line is, you're on that first page.
That was actually the only.
How do I get it to come up?
You have to get right in the focal point,
Anyway,
I think.
it's on that page. It's in the magazine, Waterford Lakes. A great.
It's right underneath the
Yep,
table of
100%.
contents,
Not
right?
even. I mean, it's like the front page. So let us tell our listeners and our viewers, if they want to connect with you, where can they find you?
The best place is to go to www.sakuraaoutdoors.com, submit a request. Just hit the pink button, and it'll take you to the request page and submit that. We'll get that. We'll give you a call. The second best way is to call or text at 407-403-3175. That is our work number, and it's we'll get back with you as soon as we can with that too. Keep in mind, we are in the field a lot, so sometimes it takes a little while to get back, meaning might be the next day or something like that. But
Yeah, no, that's
we'll
great.
get back with
Yeah, and we'll put.
cell phones and irrigation.
Yeah, we'll drop
all
all
together.
of your information at the end of this, so that anybody's interested in connecting with you. We would love to obviously hear if that happens through our podcast. Yeah, so we're over time, but I think this has been very informative and something that if you're out there and you're looking to fix up your yard, if I know we didn't even get into drain fields or what do you call them? Help me out. French drain, thank you.
French
yeah.
drains is what we call them.
But you
Yeah.
do those, and
we do is really not
with all the
French
rain
drains
and
in Florida.
everything, it's something that maybe would be a conversation if you are having a lot of flooding in between your home. That's something that you also can do. I know that is something we talk about a lot in our BNI group. But I'm going to give you the last word. The question I would just say is, what's one thing you hope every client feels when they step into their finished outdoor sanctuary?
Remember that show where I can't remember the name of the show, but they'd always say, move that bus, and the bus would move, and they'd show the first
makeover,
house.
right?
What we want is people to have...
I think it's something
what was it
makeover,
called?
a home makeover or something. I know, yeah.
Yeah, home makeover. Yeah, I think that's right. But that's what we want. We want when you step out the door after we're done, we want you to have the feeling of, oh my gosh, look how good that looks. That's what we're after, is that. And when we want to hit it, we want a home run every time.
I love that.
That's what we're after. And if we're not achieving it, we want people to be honest with us, let us know so we can get that
awesome.
home run. And but that's what we want. We want the move that bus moment only with your landscaping.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thanks for listening to Beyond the Key podcast. Big thanks to my friend, my partner, vendor partner, Brock Young, for sharing his journey and passion for outdoor living. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friend. Until next time, remember, the key to your dreams is always within reach, and with Brown Home Group, where we go above and beyond the sale. Always remember, whatever it takes, make it a great day. Thanks, Brock.
Awesome.
Hold on one sec.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.